What's going on, everybody? It's George here from NVISION on another wonderful episode of Brews Buzzwords. And today we're going to talk with an expert about how to navigate difficult conversations. And my expert today, I've been trying to get on this show. We've been talking for about 6 or 7 months. Somebody I've known for a real long time is Hilda Gan. And Hilda is a sought-after expert on effective HR strategies, work culture enhancement, and employee engagement. Unique amongst HR consultants, Hilda combines over 25 years of HR expertise and business acumen and business owner experience. PeopleBright Consulting is an award-winning HR management consulting firm that helps leaders of companies build foundations for successful hiring, healthy and inclusive work culture, and engaged staff. It all starts with listening to her clients and finding pragmatic, customized solutions for complex HR problems. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So Hilda, thank you very much for being on our show today.
I've been looking forward to it. As you say, this has been a work in progress, and I'm so happy to be here today.
And we're grateful you are here because one of the things as a business owner, and one that knows many other business owners, is difficult conversations are hard to have.
Definitely.
And I wanted to pick your brain because I fall into the category of sometimes having a real hard time conveying what I want because I know the conversation may be very hard. So that's what I want to talk about today. And I want to provide our audience maybe with some tips and tricks and tools that maybe they can leverage after we have a more in-depth discussion. So in terms of your expertise, having been in, corporate and now running your own thing, what are some of the most common types of difficult conversations leaders are facing with either their teams or with individuals that you see?
I think the common ones that people have is the difficult conversation where the person has shared with you a health issue, either personally or in the family. Sometimes people don't know what to say, and then they don't know necessarily what they can and they can't do. The second most common one is the one where you are having some issues with the person's performance and you're not exactly sure what that is. So then you have to figure out what it is. It could be that you make observations or somebody's telling you there's a concern. And then the third one is that you need to terminate somebody for whatever reason. And they don't get easy. Whether it's because you have to and you have to downsize, or because there's a performance issue and it's impacting the livelihood of everybody in the organization. So I think those tend to be the common three: performance issues, health issues, and terminations. And then there's all the gamuts in between. Sometimes you get surprised because they knock on your door and present you with a problem that you don't know how to handle it.
I find absolutely those three are kind of the most common that we even experience here in the conversations that I have with other leaders. In particular, I mean, the health one isn't usually an unfortunate one where people don't have the right tools to navigate those sorts of conversations. Yeah. But performance for me is kind of the most unique because when you're at the point of termination, the conversation to terminate sucks. Nobody likes to have that conversation, but how you define and decipher what is causing the performance issues, because these are all people that we've hired.
Yeah.
We made the decision to bring them on board, and you've made the investment to essentially train them and nurture them into your environment. So when you start to see performance struggle, it is something that's challenging to address. As a leader, though, how do you coach leaders to prepare mentally and emotionally for these sorts of tough discussions?
That's a really good question. So I'll address it two ways. There is long-term preparation and short-term preparation. Okay. Long-term preparation is that you continue to be nurturing relationships. When you create a long-term relationship with an employee, you are creating the foundations of trust. And when you have a trusting relationship with somebody, then those difficult conversations, those awkward conversations will become more, they'll become less intense. They'll become more conversational, right? So part of it is, don't just teach them for the immediate one, but teach them skills to create healthy team relationships. So, but most of the people just want the quick and dirty. How do I get through this difficult conversation? So first of all, I think you just need to think through, what are your options? Is this something that you have to have a difficult conversation with? And then what I do is I have 5 tips on how to have a difficult conversation. It just helps that you have a recipe.
Okay.
Every conversation is going to be unique, and you should be unique yourself. Like, don't sound like a stiff board, but helping people with this 5-step method would really help them get a little bit easier. So should I share this now?
I would love for you to share it.
Let's get this started while they're mentally thinking.
Yeah, let's get this started.
So it never is easy. It's never easy to have a difficult conversation. And it's funny, when I talk to people, they think they want me to either help them with their performance issues or help them terminate people. And when I hear that, I hear they don't want to have difficult conversations, right? So I created actually a guidebook to help people be brave, how to have difficult conversations. So here's the 5 tips. Start from a place of neutrality. Do you think the person has a performance issue? Are they late because they don't care? You never know. So think about your opening line, because you're the one that's probably going to initiate this difficult conversation, right?
Right.
It's in your control. Do I do it today? No. I'll wait till Friday, right?
Or do I avoid it?
Yeah. Or do I avoid it and maybe it'll go away?
Yeah.
So you have ownership of preparing for it. Sometimes you don't, but this is the rehearsed one. Start from a place of neutrality. So rather than say, your lateness is unacceptable to us, you don't even know why they're late. So instead of it, say, I noticed that you've been late the last 3 times over the course of the week. I'm wondering if there's something going on that I need to know about. That's very neutral. You're stating a fact, and then you're keeping it open, right? So start from a place of neutrality. And then, as your heart's racing and palpitating and your stomach's churning, the second one is listen. Just listen. Listen for that answer. So that helps you to gain control, to calm your nerves down, and then stop thinking about what you're going to answer next. Just listen. And when you think you've heard enough, listen some more, because you just want to keep making sure you understand. So don't look like you're prepared to give an answer. If you need to ask another question to help you understand, listen some more. Okay. So when you think you've heard enough, just listen a little bit more. Then the third step is to validate what you've heard and seek to find a resolution collaboratively. Because when you edict what the solution is, you really probably haven't even heard what they said, right? And people will cooperate more when there's a mutual decision as opposed to an edict. Then the fourth thing is, don't feel you have all the answers to the question. Maybe you need to think about it. Maybe you need to check in on legislation to make sure you're not doing something, or benefits if you need to check on stuff. But don't have an answer always. If you don't have an answer, say, hey, that's a really good thought. Let me think about it, because I need to double check with whatever it is, our policies or our benefits or standards. Let me check and get back to you. And then the fifth thing is, make sure you follow up. This is a recipe that will help you overcome the stress. And that first opening line, start from a place of neutrality, will keep the lines of communication open rather than escalate the problem.
I really like that.
Yeah.
I like the 5 tips, and I really love the idea of going into it with neutrality, because you really never know, unless you've had conversations historically, but you really never know what's going on in somebody's life, right? So to come at it with a accusatory tone doesn't help the situation at all, right?
Yeah.
So
and it escalates the tension that's already built. And if we go back to the long term, if you've created a relationship of trust, there's going to be less tension, less confrontation, because there is a level of trust.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly there. And I would love to share these tips with our viewers if you're okay with it. You mentioned earlier that you have this documented somewhere.
Yes, I have the workbook that comes with workbooks, and then I have the quick guide that doesn't come with the details, and it's on my website.
I'll be sure to share it in our description here, because I think all 5 of those, it really helps set the tone for this difficult conversation. While addressing conflict in the context of team morale, because news travels fast. Somebody's having a difficult time, or somebody's not performing, or somebody's going through personal matters. In small organizations or large, there's this tendency that, well, what I've observed is most people are aware something's up.
Yeah.
And when the difficult conversation isn't happening or it's not being addressed, how do we maintain team morale? What is that kind of dialogue that should be happening to ensure the rest of the team that this thing is going to be addressed?
Okay.
Or this situation. I shouldn't call it a thing.
Yeah. And of course, everything is unique.
Yes.
But what I think is it's always about open, honest communication. Companies where they create that open, honest communication will help team morale. You never stop the gossiping, you never stop the interpretations. But if you know something's happening, then as the leaders of the company, you have to kind of address that fine line between what people need to know and what they don't need to know.
So get ahead of it in a way.
Yeah. Don't feel afraid to make that known, particularly a difficult situation. So let's say there is an issue about somebody who's done something and everybody knows, but nobody talks about it. What I would do as the leader of my company is I would say, okay, I know there's rumors going around about somebody, but you need to know that we know what's happening, but we need to do and I wouldn't use the word investigation, but we need to make sure we've heard all sides of the story and decide what to do. So as owners, we can't share with you those details. All I can share with you is we are doing what we need to do to make sure that we resolve the situation as quickly as possible, but keeping in mind the confidence of the people that are impacted.
Yeah.
Right? So you're sharing that and you know that's a problem. But you also have to educate them that you have to keep confidence, you have to keep, whatever.
Now, do you feel like, is there a risk of losing authority if you're being empathetic? Is it at the risk of losing that authority?
People sometimes think I'm very soft.
Okay.
And I'm very empathetic, which I am, but they also learn that I know when to say things in a very firm manner. So if you show your soft side, does that make you weak? No, it doesn't. Because if you know that you make decisions and you know how to be fair, then you learn to be respected. And I think as an HR person, it's a very fine line in my case, you're too management, or, you're too employee. So I think it's a compliment to me when people can say you're fair. That means you know how to support and help management, but you also know how to support and help employees. What you need to do is that neutrality sentence. You start with a place of neutrality. You never pick sides, and you help educate people about the other sides. So that's what I'm saying is that, yes, show empathy, but also show concerns. So oftentimes when I'm doing like situations where somebody comes with a health issue, I will show my empathy, but I also say, we will do everything we can to support you with, by keeping that balance. between, running the business and supporting you as much as we can. We will do everything. So they hear that I still have the business mind. Not to that point where they say, well, your health is fine, but, my business comes first. No, that's not what I mean.
Right.
And it's all in the tone, it's in the eye contact, it's in the feel. But you have to do it authentically. If you do it, fictitiously and you pat somebody, yeah, I'm sorry about that, they're going to feel that.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that kind of feedback, regardless of the scenario, plays a vital role in resolving team conflict or individual conflict, right?
Yeah.
Like that, you have to approach things with neutrality or empathy, and then, but providing feedback, and not necessarily in response to the individual who may be ill, but in other scenarios where there's performance issues or a problem occurred, providing feedback so that you can course correct, right, becomes really important.
And I think as heads of organizations, it's very important to keep your lines of communication open. I remember one year, if I can share this one example.
Of course.
My husband and I were, it was one of those recession years, really bad. And our staff were used to healthy bonuses. We shared, like we valued it and treated our staff with equality. So, the money wasn't all just coming to key people. All staff shared in our bonus. And this particular year, we thought, they're used to these levels of bonus. They're not going to be happy with this. And we thought, what should we do? What should we do? How do we manage those expectations? So we had a staff meeting close to the time we were going to share. And we said, this is what's happening out there. Recession's here, unemployment's here, things. And we're not going to be able to have the same expectation, but we're going to do our best that we can to make sure that people have a bonus. And when bonus time came and we handed out the letters, people knocked on our doors and they thanked us. They said, thank you very much. This is actually more than I expected.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow, because it was still something, but it wasn't what they were used to. But we were honest. We've always kept an honest, open relationship with them. And they heard that we were doing our best that we could. And they actually came and knocked on our doors and thanked us.
Yeah, I think that reminds me of a book I'm reading, Danielle Pink's book, Drive. And he talks a lot about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. And extrinsic motivations are things like bonuses and whatnot. And, those are like the reward and punishment model. And they can only go so far.
Yeah.
But when people truly feel valued and important in an organization.
Yeah. And that's another thing about difficult conversations. Carrot stick.
Right.
I remember the first time I had this person in the hospital and she was doing a fantabulous job and I wanted to let her know. And so I said, oh, you're doing a great job. Yeah. Yeah. And so I gave her examples. Yeah. And I thought, okay, she wants more examples. So I gave some more. He says, so? I said, so what? Well, now what are you going to tell me? And I thought, oh, you're expecting the stick. You're expecting me to complain about something? Yeah, what did I do wrong? I said, no, this is just, I want to tell you you're doing a great job. Oh, well, that's a first.
Isn't that amazing?
Like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
So don't use the carrot and stick either.
No, absolutely not. And then that is part of the reference in the book, actually. He talks about the carrot and the stick. So assuming a conversation, you've got it pre-planned, you're going to use the 5 steps, and you've got it well catered, but it doesn't go according to plan. Because not all conversations go the way you think or you hope they're going to go. How do you handle that situation? Okay. What are the solutions there?
Again, be neutral.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, I've obviously hit a chord, or you sound really upset about this. So what is it what are you thinking at this point? Right? I'm not saying you're crazy. I'm again going back to my state the fact. You look upset. If I'm misunderstanding, let me know, but what's going on? Share with me. Or geez, I'm trying to connect, but I'm not sure why I'm not. And I see that you're upset with me. Let's talk about it. So keep the door open, keep that line of communication open.
So you're basically back to square one, back to neutrality.
Rinse and repeat, right? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can kind of dig a little deeper.
But, sometimes that backfires. I'm not angry with you. Well, if you're raising your voice, and I've had situations where, one of my staff, I would share something, they get so upset. And I said, okay, you're really upset. And I have a feeling we should just break for today. I really want to keep talking about this, but I want to make sure that you're, if you say calmer, they're going to get worse. But you know what I'm trying to say? As I'm going to try to say, maybe we just need a break from this. You're upset, and I don't want us to say things that we're going to regret. So is it okay? Do you think we should take a 10-minute break or think about it and talk tomorrow? And then before they leave, is there anything last-minute questions before we break that you'd like to ask me before we go?
Yeah. So, keeping, again, giving the opportunity to represent, rediscuss the situation at hand.
Yeah.
People, we are humans. We do get emotional. If there's, sometimes there's just an avoidance of the truth, and we need to, I always say, sleep on it.
Yep.
Let's just sleep on it. We'll come back to it in 24 hours and we'll see what happens then. Right.
And sometimes if you've stepped the line, say it.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize. I take back what I said. I'm sorry. I didn't know this is what, like, if you make an accusatory assumption that they were doing something. No. I forgot to tell you about this. Oh, I get it. I'm sorry that, I misunderstood or misinterpreted. So what I'm hearing now is this. So now what do we do? Or how can I help now, etc. So always try to bring it back to a place where people aren't going to escalate the conversation in a negative way.
And I like that, going back to what you were saying earlier, when you've had a long-term relationship of trust building with an individual, you can probably do that. And it's very healthy for both parties to just take a step back because they trust one another. Yeah. They're going to come back to that conversation with maybe clearer heads.
Yeah. We had to do something really difficult. We were downsizing our company during that recession. So we went out to our St. Catharines office, and my husband and I talked about the fact that we might have to close, and we were coming to them to let them know. Then we each took a few of the staff and had our conversations. And I was speaking to one of the staff who had had twins at home. And so I said, so Ian, when do you want me to come back to you, with any information that will help you? And you know what he said? He said, Hilda, you know me well enough, and you know when the right time will be. Wow. So that's that build trust, because then people will give you the benefit of the doubt rather than thinking, well, they've been hiding this all this time and da-da-da-da.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you one more question, and I'm curious to get your thoughts in terms of the what you see as having navigated many, has supported many corporations and individuals, the long-term benefits of successfully navigating difficult conversations. From your perspective, what are they?
It's really building that open, honest relationship with your company as a whole and with the individuals. And I think it's really investing in managers to teach them their people leadership skills. So many of us get promoted because we are capable of the project and we're capable of the expertise. But hiring you for your people skills is not high on the criteria of decision making to say, yeah, we got to have them. And if COVID's taught us anything, we need to connect with our people to make them feel valued and want to do more. When you do that, you create this healthy workplace. So investing in managers to be people-centric, to invest in the company to create this open, honest relationship, that is key.
I like that a lot. I like the word connect, creating connections, because that's what it's all about. And almost every organization that I've had the privilege of working with, every guest I've ever had on this show, everybody seems to go back to just human connection and the importance of human connection and how to navigate that. So On that note, I want to thank you for being on this show. Tell our guests how they can get a hold of you. Where do they find you?
LinkedIn is the easiest. It's just LinkedIn Hilda Gan, so that'll be fine. And then if they want to visit my website, they can find me for that difficult conversations. Just go in there and look up resources and you'll see the difficult conversations. People Bright Consulting, so www.peoplebrightconsulting.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Hilda. I hope this has been helpful. I know I've learned a few things today. I will definitely post Hilda's website in the comments section here, along with the resource guide that she spoke about, the 5 steps to having difficult conversations and the things that can potentially help benefit anyone who's having challenges, having those conversations, including yours truly. So thank you very much again. That is it for us today. Thanks for tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. See ya. Thanks for watching this video. If you got something out of it, please like, subscribe, or share it with your friends.